This is a new version of a live pitch deck review brought to you by The Narrative, which is a publication that unpacks what makes for a good story in a business setting, if that's in a pitch deck or speech or otherwise. And so, for the next hopefully 30 minutes, we'll be going through another pitch deck and unpacking what makes it work and where it could be better. And does it ultimately achieve its aim? Usually, we go through pitch decks looking for funding. Today's a little bit different. It's a pitch deck, but it's not trying to get funding. It's trying to get people on its platform. And so, with that in mind, I'm going to share my screen and show you. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. The business that we're talking about today, which is called Speakify. And what is Speakify? Well, firstly, shout out to Paul McVeigh, the former Premier League footballer who shared this deck and is doing this work. And why is he doing this work? Well, after playing the Premier League and for Northern Ireland, I believe, for a number of years, professional football, he transformed himself to a sought-after public speaker, which is worthy of admiration and respect because the path from professional athlete to public speaker is not a straight one. And so you don't just get on the TED stage as you see in the image because you're good at kicking a ball. And so Paul's taken his experiences as a professional speaker over a number of years to create this business. He's seen an opportunity. He's identified a pain point and come up with a solution, which is called Speakify. And this deck is designed to get more people on the platform. It's a two-sided platform. But we can unpack a bit more about what the platform does as we go through the slides. Um, Off the bat, I think this is a really clean image. You got the business name, transforming how businesses book speakers, like really clear, uh, succinct articulation of what the business does, and it's tailored to this audience, right? Because this is to get speakers on board who may struggle or may have to pound the pavement to get gigs. And it's also got a singular, clear image of Paul giving a speech on a TED Talk, recognizable brand, and it's reinforcing his story because in the background you can see him with a trophy for playing football. So this is a really, really great way to open up and tease interest before you even get to the next slide. So kudos to Paul and the team for cooking this up. If I was being pedantic, I think maybe the logo could be a little bit sharper. It looks a little bit grainy. Other than that, I think this is a really strong start. Makes me want to learn more. Then we get into the founding story. So I think this is a really great way to start because it's a story. Why is Paul thinking of founding this? Well, what's the journey? On the left, we go from 2010 playing football, and another really intelligent thing that he's done here is a picture of him defending Cristiano Ronaldo, instantly recognizable icon. 2010, 16 years later, we're still talk about Ronaldo narratives. The Portugal national team for this club in Saudi Arabia, Ronaldo versus Messi. The World Cup just concluded a couple of days ago. And Messi's subpar performance in the final has reignited, at least on Twitter, the debate between Messi and Ronaldo. So it's kind of this eternal debate, and it will end because both of those guys are going to retire at some point. But they're going to be recognizable for years to come. So that's a really intelligent use of an image there. So this goes from football retirement in 2010 all the way over a 16-year period to creating an MVP for this business of Speakify. So leading with that transformation is really powerful. The thing that I think this could be a bit shorter and sharper on is still a lot of text. Even though you've got images, ends up being a bit of a busy slide. So even though you're not going year by year, so you get 2010, 11, then you skip forward 2020. So that's clever to not just to put milestones that matter rather than just something for every single year. But I need to pause and really try to take in the story. And I think there's nothing wrong with a linear story. A leads to B, leads to C. Like this is how the story unfolded chronologically. Having said that, it's got to be the point of the story isn't to say, here's the chronology. The point of the story is to say, here's the transformation that happened. So let's unpack this. So I retired from football and started on my journey as a keynote speaker. Okay. I would try to unpack how you came across speaking as your thing. Why not go into media, punditry? Why not just buy lots of houses like Robbie Fowler did? But that I'm being a bit picky. Next, I very quickly realized the way of getting booked was stuck in the 90s. Lots of emails back and forth, phone calls, and zero transparency on fees. Okay. I think it could be pithier. I like the stuck in the 90s because it's grounding it in something that people can relate to. Um, you've got the friction of emails back and forth, phone calls, zero transparency. So that's a really good articulation of like some of the pain points. Um, I quickly realized the way like that's grounded in the self, which again is really, really good. I wonder if there's a quicker way of saying that, which is, however, getting gigs was full of friction because of email, slow email driven process, phone calls, and opaque pricing, something like that. Which maybe is the same number of words, but I think it could be a little bit pithier there. And then after delivering regular keynotes, I founded the Leadership Club and leaned on my impressive network to build a roster of 250 speakers and 20 coaches, enabling me to widen my offering to existing clients. Okay, so I like this because it's saying I'm not just a speaker for hire. I've taken the initiative. I founded something. That's brilliant. Having said that, leaned on my impressive network, like impressive is relative. What is impressive to me might not be impressive to you. And so I would steer clear of that kind of language and say, like, I built a roster of 250 speakers and 20 coaches. Gets the same point across. Little less self-congratulatory because in the world of pitch deck, it's show, don't tell. Then we skip ahead to, and actually, now that I think about it, the 2010, 2011 timeline, it could be compressed. You don't need 2 points. I retired from football, became a speaker, found this point of friction. Boom, 1 point, and you lose a bunch of text. And then you go 2020, we've talked about that. Then let's see, 2023, the Leadership Club has facilitated more than 10 events. I mean, more than. You got to check your work. More than 10 events where we have provided high-profile speakers such as Yaya Toure, Frank Lampard, and Claire Williams. So again, I like this. Rule of 3. Yaya Toure, Frank Lampard, Claire. I don't know who Claire Williams is, but maybe some folks do. There's a nice balance of male and female there. I've built a reputation for working closely with footballers and high-profile athletes in the speaking bureau space. Have you? Okay. There's no proof of that. And again, I just walk away from anything that you can't quickly substantiate. You can do as voiceover. Don't put it on a page because it's taking up text. And immediately I'd ask the question, people will get hung up on, well, show me or prove it. Because inevitably, when you come across a new concept and they're asking you to take action, we're inevitably skeptical, right? And then you're going to add to the skepticism by making these unfounded claims. And it might be true, but there's no evidence of it here. And therefore, it doesn't belong on the page. But the specificity of the Leadership Club hosting 10 events, great. Naming people that you work with, that's really great. And adding the evidence of that with, in this case, Paul. So he's got a picture with Frank Lampard. Difficult to see, but it's there. With Yaya Toure, with Claire Williams. And so that's why I don't think you need to belabor the point by saying, I built a reputation for working closely with footballers and high-profile athletes in the speaking bureau space, because it's not about the reputation is proved by Yaya Toure, Lampard, and Williams. It's just that the fact that you've done it shows that you've got something here. You can pull this off. You've got the access. So like, no need to belabor the point. Then you get to 2024. With the industry in the non-digital age, I noticed an opportunity to create an online marketplace, the Airbnb for booking speakers, where digitalizing how speakers are booked would be a win-win for both client and speakers. I get it. And then in some ways, you've explained the entire business in one very long, but one sentence, which is great. And you've created a really easy to understand analogy, the Airbnb of booking speakers. It's brilliant. Having said that, I feel like we're just still taking too long to get to the point. With the industry in the non-digital age, I noticed an opportunity. I think that you got to tie this to the friction that we articulated earlier, right? So this could be a compressed story where like you identify this friction point in 2010 and 14 years later in 2024, that friction still persists. So that's the thing that you got to build on. So it was frustrating in 2010 and that frustration's built. The stakes have risen. And that's why we want this Airbnb approach. Even then, I wonder if we could tie it to a specific pain point, right? Where what was the aha moment? Was it just a culmination of lots of little moments of frustration? Was there a moment where he got stuck? So, for example, the Dropbox origin story is a guy, I think, in Lake Tahoe was trying to get to San Francisco. And he couldn't access his files because he left them on a hard drive in Lake Tahoe, something like this. I might be getting some of the details wrong. But he left some of the files in San Francisco, in Lake Tahoe. and he couldn't turn back on the bus. And so he realized that he needed a way to access his files no matter where he is, even if he's not physically in the same place as his hard drive. And that was the origin story behind Dropbox. And that at the time was a relatable frustration. So I think that's the thing that's missing from this story. And then with a starting point of 250 speakers, I have relationships with speaking bureaus worldwide and gain commitments for them to list their exclusive speakers on our platform, Speakify. Fine, but here's the issue. This is very me-centric, and the reality is you're trying to ask someone to take action for you by joining your platform, and the whole thing is playing hero ball. Like, look at me, I'm a Premier League footballer. I got frustrated. I did a thing, then I did another thing, and now I'm doing a third thing. And that's what I think is a flaw of the story. So it's a very good instinct to start with the story, but it's got to be a lot more solution centric for the person you're trying to convince to take action. It's got to be tighter, and it's got to be a bit clearer. And what do you got? 2010, 11, 12, 11, 20, 23, 24, 25, 26. So what's that? 7 points. Can we get down to 3? Can we get it down to 4? Because although it's a timeline, it still ends up being like a wall of text. And the more you risk that, the more you're going to risk people not turning to the next page, which is the solution, the smarter, faster, more cost-efficient way to book speakers. Again, wall of text. Event teams today are under pressure to deliver exceptional experiences while managing tighter budgets, shorter timelines, and increasing expectations for transparency and diversity. Well, that's a mouthful. Speakify was built specifically to solve these challenges. Okay. It's an AI-powered marketplace that transforms how organizations discover, evaluate, and book. Rule of 3. Nailed it. Well done. Reducing cost, saving, and time. Rule of 3 again. Well done. And eliminating the operational friction that slows teams down. Great. I think this is a very clear articulation of what the business does. It's still a wall of text. And here's the other problem. We're talking about they're under pressure to deliver exceptional experiences. True. Managing tighter budgets. True. Shorter timelines. True. Increasing the expectations. Okay. We've got to quantify some of this, right? So like, what is the scale of the problem we're solving? And that doesn't mean you got to quantify every single pain point around under pressure to deliver exceptional experiences, whatever that thing, but you've got to start to call, like, could you say the NPS for live speaking has gone down over time because the filtering process just isn't that robust, or people don't know the right questions to ask, or they're underwhelmed because the budget, like they spent 50 grand on a speaker and they get like 20 grand's worth of content. So what is that kind of pain point in a bit more of quantifiable way? Well, and the other thing is you get two like really dense sentences, which do a really good job of explaining what the issue is, but it could be tighter. Speakify is an AI-powered marketplace that transforms how organizations discover, evaluate, and book keynote speakers. I think that's enough. And then in a separate sentence, you could just do like, so a few check marks: reducing costs, saving time, eliminating the operational friction that slows teams down is a bit redundant. Because if you're reducing costs and saving time, you're eliminating friction. So what's the third thing that's not redundant? And I don't think you would need a sentence for that. You just kind of just list them. Boom, boom, boom. And I think the third point I would say is a positive one, which is discovery. It makes it easy to discover new speakers or suitable speakers that you may not have otherwise come across. That's the unlock, right? So like, you think about the Airbnb model, if we play that analogy, which is apt, all these homes existed before Airbnb existed. Airbnb unlocked economic value by providing access, right? And that's what this is providing as well. And on the right, this is really good because there's a really clear image of what this thing is. Trending speakers this week. Okay, so it's like, this is brilliant because you got the star rating, cost, person, topics, and then you've got like you're showing, not telling, the AI aspect. So this is really good. Why enterprise clients choose Speakify? Okay, a lot of text. And then at the risk of being pedantic, the black and the teal don't contrast enough. Massive time savings through automated discovery and matching. How big is massive? 1 hour saved a year, 10 hours saved a year, 10,000 hours saved a year. Quantify it, show, don't tell. As my keyboard switched to Arabic somehow. Traditional speaker sourcing takes 10 to 12 hours per event. Emails, phone calls, back and forth negotiations, slow responses, unclear availability. That's really good. It's a bit abstract. And so there's probably a specific example you could use to ground this in a bit more of a relatable way. It's Karen who works in comms for BP, and she was trying to book a speaker to inspire the leadership offsite to, in the face of adversity because of a spill in the Gulf of Mexico, whatever that thing is. I think that kind of specificity then matched with quantifiable data that demonstrates the scale of the problem, grounds it in reality a bit more, and gets you a bit more hooked. And then Speakify replaces all of that with AI-powered matching based on your event brief, audience turnover. Okay, this is getting a bit clearer. Instant shortlist using contextual embeddings. I don't know what that means, so I would lose it. I mean, I kind of know, but it's not clear enough. Speaker similarity search. Find me speakers like. That's brilliant. Transparent and availability and pricing. Verified profiles and reviews. Great. What used to take weeks will now take minutes, freeing your team to focus on content, logistics, and impact. Great. Should try to quantify that as well. But I think there's not enough of a. This could be a bit more visual. And I wonder if you could blow up the text a bit, have a bit more of a left-right thing. I mean, maybe this is just being a bit pedantic, but this seems like a very cool solution. But it takes like a second too long to fully understand what it is. And I wonder if, just like you have on this slide here, a mock-up, could you have a mock-up that demonstrates what the product is capable of as a way to communicate what it's about? Why use Speakify? You have an event and you need a speaker. We are creating a hybrid way of working, so you can either share your event on our platform and ask speakers to apply. With the help of AI, you can use our platform to search for the perfect speaker based on okay, event loading. Speakers apply directly. Okay, got it. I think that this could be condensed to Speakify for businesses and Speakify for speakers, right? And then do mock-ups, or even if you don't do mock-ups, but like a pithy, and like, again, I'd go back to the rule of three. What's the three things? Because three is repeatable, right? Like, as clear as this is, post your event requirements, set your budget, relevant speakers apply, review applications, shortlist and book instantly. It's five. Harder to repeat. You almost want, this might be simplifying a bit too much, but you want three things, and if you can do it as an acrostic, it's even better. Create an acronym. Upload your event, speakers apply directly. Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that a visual, a mock-up would help people grasp quicker. Because early matching, early alignment, early peace of mind, especially for large annual events, leadership summits, or multi-event programs. Closest thing to have an internal speaker sourcing team without cost. That's really good. But it's let down by this generic AI image of somebody holding a, like, what is that? Never seen that before. Said nobody ever. I think so that lets it down a bit, because you could really help people visualize, because like that's just an image of an iPhone with a square that says AI and lines coming out of it. And so it's this trailer for the new Iron Man movie. Like, what is this? Access to a broader, more diverse talent pool. This is an excellent point, and I think it's been buried a bit. Like, this should be, as I mentioned here, 3 slides earlier. Because Speakify works with speakers, bureaus, agencies, coaches, managers, emerging voices, you get access to talent you'd never find through traditional channels. Okay, so speaker, bureaus, agencies, coaches, managers, emerging voices. 6 things. That's okay. I think just create icons rather than a list, make it a bit more visual. And I wonder if you could have like this leads to that. So you have icons of speakers, bureaus, agencies, etc., and then a chevron saying leads to democratizes access to talent, or enhances access to talent, or expands or augments. Augments probably the best word. Augments access to talent. And then you don't need to belabor the point on you'd never find through traditional channels, because that's kind of implicit, or you can say it in the voiceover. This supports DEI goals, fresh perspective, global reach, niche expertise. That's cool, but that's not the core pain point. So that's a little bit of a side dressing. That's cool. But what's the core thing that it solves? Lead with that, and then get to DEI, fresh perspectives, global reach. Because The central problem you're solving is the friction involved with booking a speaker, and it's not. My speaker pool isn't diverse enough. Or if it is, then we've got to tee up the whole thing differently. Um, Again, and then on the right, like a generic image. So like, looks like you're maybe not trying hard enough. And what does this have to do with that? Like, guy in a shirt playing on a fake iPad. Not like, it's uninspiring and forgettable. Current industry challenges and how Speakify aims to revolutionize event psychology. Okay, this is doing a lot of work. It's not active enough. If the slide is about how Speakify aims to revolutionize event psychology, it could be more active, right? So Speakify revolutionizes event psychology by, how do you do it? Let's see, risk reduction, booking keynote speakers, manual back and forth. This is repetitive now. What's the point of this slide? Like, this slide is as pointless as the World Cup halftime show. Why? It's not adding any value. It's like Ronaldo in that blue tracksuit. Why? What is going on? Didn't ask for this. Booking a keynote speaker is a manual back and forth with emails and calls. Speakify provides speaker performance analytics and identity verification. Okay. I don't know if identity verification is a big pain point, but I I think that teal box says that the problem is back and forth. It's process. And then the solve is identity verification and performance analytics. Those two things seem disconnected. So if your issue is that you need to verify the speaker, you could say something like, it's slow because it requires emailing passport photos back and forth, it crashes in boxes, whatever, versus, when you go on like a banking app and it does biometrics now, right? Embedding something like that to make it a bit more frictionless. That's what that's trying to say. So this problem and the solution are disconnected there. Transparent. High bureau commissions are normally hidden from speakers and clients, often up to 30%. Speakify has clear pricing and availability. Okay, that's cool. Are normally hidden. And they could be tighter, right? So like high commissions up to 30%, usually hidden. And the Speakify had. And the other issue is, right, you've got the problem and then the solution sentence follows immediately after. There's not enough of a visual contrast. Like you want this like a left right dynamic, and I'm going to separate the sentences to really demonstrate that problem, solution, problem, solution. Low trust. No standardized reviews or ratings. QA only comes from Bureau's word. Speakify verified reviews from buyers and audiences. Cool. Except that reviews can be gamified, as anyone who's bought a product on Amazon can see, but it's still a cool value add. And Speakify, you know exactly who you're booking, what they cost, and how they perform. That is I'm a little less convinced by that, because if let's say you're booking somebody, let's say you're booking Paul Scholes, former Manchester United football player, for £25,000. You're going to verify him on a FaceTime call without Speakify, right? It's just basic due diligence. If you're paying 25 grand, you're going to do it. You're not going to get some impersonator coming up, right? So I'm not convinced that this is a huge value add on, exactly who you're booking. What they cost, fine. Even then, I don't suspect that is a huge issue because that emerges eventually. But you're kind of accelerating the timeline to unpack that and how they performed. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's a real value add. So why not lead with that? This reduces event risk and increases confidence for senior stakeholders. I mean, that's kind of belaboring the point. But that's okay. Cost optimization built into the platform. Speakify reduces spend in 3 major ways. Rule of 3. These guys are nailing the rule of 3. Like, hats off. Okay, transparent prices, no hidden bureau fees. This is repetitive, right? This is like, I don't know, watching the referees give games to Argentina again and again and again. Like, we kind of get it at this point. Transparent pricing, no hidden bureau. You see speaker fee, commission, total cost. No surprises, inflated code, no opaque markups. Like, you got to 18 slides because you're repeating yourself. This could easily be fewer slides. Better matches, fewer failed events. Poor speaker fit, it's expensive. Refunds, disengage audience, reputational risk. Good point. Matching engine, verified to reduce that risk. This is an excellent point. I think that belongs on this page. It doesn't pop enough. Like, I don't think you need the ABC labels. It's implicit. And then I think you need the text, the headline to pop in a different way to the rest. So maybe if this is bold, it could be bigger, and then this could not be bold. Operational efficiency equals lower internal cost. Your team spent less time sourcing. This is repetitive. And now, like 30 to 50% on sourcing time alone. Yeah, but what's the cost of that? All right, what's the lost productivity? What's the dollar amount? This is pretty unconvincing. I don't think the issue is at the wall of text because it's fine. It's pithy enough, but it's all very like, and repetitive. Like Lionel Messi going in and trying to draw a foul, just very meh and repetitive. Client benefits in passive headline. Client benefits are boom, boom, boom. Like that's the way. Flexible engagement options. Organizers can choose to browse and inquire like Rightmove or book instantly like Airbnb. Cool. Depending on event time, budget, lead time. Like it. Broader speaker actor. Comment is both high profile speakers prefer direct negotiation and emerging voices. Kind of made that point like 3 times already. Integrate logistics and payments, streamline planning and optional support for time-sensitive events. Organizers can use booking flow. With integrated logistic contracts and payment, that's cool. That's a big value add. Feels like it's a bit buried because you read left to right, top to bottom, like in a Z shape or Z shape for anyone in America who's tuned in. And so I would lead with that because the other points are again repetitive. Streamline planning with optional support for time-sensitive event. Booking flow. Just too wordy and too much too jargony. Like offers integrate logistics, contracts, and payment. Same thing. Just get to the point. Trust and transparency. Verified reviews like Trustpilot. I don't think you need like Trustpilot. Speaker ratings and profile analytics help organizers make informed decisions while platform manage bookings. Just like verified reviews, ratings, and analytics. That's enough. People know what that means. But again, it's just repetitive. Like you don't need to make the same point again and again. Another stock photo, boring. The teal and the black don't pop. They're not enough of a contrast. Speakify integrates seamlessly into corporate processes. Escrow-based payments on Stripe, contracts via DocuSign and Adobe, multi-event dashboards. I don't know what that means, but the other 2 points are great on Stripe and Adobe. Corporate accounts and permissions. Okay, procurement-friendly workflows, multi-currency readiness. That's amazing. Less admin, fewer emails, and a fully auditable train for finance and procurement. That's the point of the slide, not enterprise-ready workflows. That can be the heading that leads into the 6 bullet points, but fewer emails, auditable trail, or something like workflows, facilitating, less admin, more audit, and then the points. And I think the procurement-friendly workflows is redundant. I don't know what is meant by multi-event dashboards, but I love the payments and the Adobe and DocuSign integration. That's brilliant. And on the right, you want a mock-up of that. A marketplace that gets smarter with every event, every brief booking review, and outcome improves the AI matching. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's kind of known at this point. That's what AI does, but it doesn't hurt to mention it again. Another stock photo. Come on, guys, we can do better. It's like, watching England at the World Cup. It's the same story every time. Same here. Same stock photo. Better recommendations, more accurate pricing, higher quality matches, stronger performance insights. I feel like the performance insights points is being beaten to death a bit because it's definitely helpful to know how a speaker's been received in the past, ratings, reviews. Having said that, these events can tend to be kind of bespoke. And just because somebody was a 3.5 star at one event, say for BP, it doesn't mean that they're going to be a 3.5 star for Meta because the brief is different. How they show up might be different because of, maybe they've just come in from an event. Maybe they've had a fight with their wife. Maybe they've broken a leg, like whatever that thing is. And so I don't know. I think there is some value in performance insights, but I don't know if for bespoke events, if you could infer just because it went like that for one client, it will go like that for us, versus a kid's toy you buy from Amazon should perform the same every time because it's $10 and made in China. The more you Speakify, the more value unlock. The enterprise value proposition in one line. Huh? What? I don't know what that sentence is doing there. Just the time cost and risk of being continued better matches, greatest transparent. Okay, this is getting repetitive. and therefore boring. It's like The Hangover. You saw The Hangover, the first movie, 2009? Amazing. The Hangover 2 was The Hangover 1 in Thailand. After 30 minutes, it became entirely predictable and therefore boring. Speakify the team, last slide. Look at the founder, manager to leadership club, and COO. Nice photos. I think this should be, we've seen that picture of Paul at the TED Talk, so I would just do a head and shoulders shot portrait like we got for Adam and Simon. Former Premier League footballer turned performance psychologist, keynote speaker, and author. Cool. Throughout his career, Tottenham Hotspur, Norwich City, and Northern Ireland. He now helps globalization strengthen the mindset, resilient performance. That's pretty cool. Maybe separated a bit, a couple of logos in on. Tottenham's a big club. Northern Ireland and Norwich City are not huge. So Premier League logo or Tottenham Hotspur logo. Ad is a global speaker. Adam, I presume. So I presume that's a typo. And you're not trying to call him advertising. As a global speaker and cultural architect known for transforming how leaders think, act, and perform. He draws on experience from elite high-performance environments, including his time working at Leicester City during the historic Premier League winning season, to shaping leadership behavior and culture that support Gymshark scaling from cool, bit wordy, but it's cool. Need to be a bit more concise, but the credentials are solid. Simon is a seasoned supply chain and operations leader who began at Viking in 2020 as logistics director. As appointed managing director of Viking in 2022. Why is he here? He's the COO, the credentials supply chain. And the nature of this business is, I get it, there's still some supply chain components, but it's not really a supply chain. Supply chain is like for auto manufacturing, right? Or drugs. Supply chain for speakers, I'm like, this isn't adding up. There's a disconnect here versus Paul and Adam seem quite connected. But overall, a pretty solid deck. It does need tightening to really land and be understood quicker. But it's an interesting product. It feels like there's room for it, but to get those favorable decisions quicker. It's not that it can't get the decision that Paul's looking for without being a better deck. It absolutely can. However, the risk of it being passed over is higher in its current form versus being tighter, less repetitive, more to the point, better visuals, etc. So that's it for this week's review. Back same time next week, 3:00 in London, 10:00 Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific for another live pitch deck review. Until then, so long.